Good evening, South Brunswick. Please can we rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting, including date, time, and location, to be posted in the South Brunswick Public Library and at the Board office, filed with the Township Clerk, and communicated to the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger. Mr. Pulowski, can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Deepa Karthik? Yeah. Mr. Raja Krishna?
Yeah.
Mr. Ray Keener?
Here.
Mr. Mike Mitchell?
Present.
Dr. Smith Raj? Here. Mrs. Lisa Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti?
Here.
Mr. Barry Nathanson?
Here.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Pulowski. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, and seconded by Dr. Smita Raj. Any discussion? Any abstentions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes, and that includes the board minutes of July 28th, 2022, and the executive minutes of July 28th, 2022.
I'll move both.
Thank you, Mr. Nathanson, for your motion. Can I have a second, please? Dr. Smita Raj, thank you. Any discussions? Any abstentions? Any nays? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the report of the student representative, and that is Ria Krishnan. So welcome, Ria, and please could we have your report?
Before Ria goes,
The moment of silence.
I want to do a moment of silence today, if we could, everyone. Two things specifically. As we know, September 11th, it'll be the 21st anniversary on Sunday. And it's important that we remember this, we educate about this, and it's important that we remember. So I'm going to hold a moment of silence for that. I also want to hold a moment of silence at the same time for Mr. Thomas Johnson. Mr. Thomas Johnson is one of our beloved bus drivers who last week passed away suddenly. Mr. Johnson was at our convocation on Thursday and then became ill and actually passed away on Saturday. I'm just going to read a little bit about him. He was an exceptional individual. Thomas has been a member of our transportation department since 2017, and last year was a driver for Brooks Crossing and Brunswick Acres schools. He was someone who always gave 100% and will be dearly missed. The transportation department has now suffered its second loss in a short period of time. Our condolences go out to Mr. Johnson's loved ones and all of his friends and colleagues throughout the district. Mr. Johnson is going to be sorely missed. So, if we don't mind, a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Before I hand it over to Rhea, I'd like to reintroduce you again. So Ria Krishnan is our student representative, and you're in for the whole year.
Yeah.
And you are what year right now, Rhea?
I'm in 11th grade.
Okay, so we might have you for 2 years.
Yeah.
All right. So for those who don't know, we have a student representative, and what's interesting about a student representative on a Board of Education is there's now a law that requires school districts to have a student representative, but we were way ahead of that game. We've had a student representative for as long as people can remember, and we're very excited to bring on Rhea, and I'm going to turn it over to you for this is your second report, but first report of the 22-23 school year, so welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ria Krishnan, and I am excited to officially be the Board of Ed representative this school year. To begin with activities, convocation will occur on the 16th of September at the high school. We are excited to welcome in the freshmen this school year. Additionally, Club Fair will be on September 21st and 20th for the freshmen. Moving on to athletics, 4 members of the high school cheerleading team tried out and earned All-American status. The tryout is done at camp against members from schools throughout the Northeast. Congratulations to Elena Grave, Alyssa Gong, Jessica Mastromonica, and Christina Marthy. The gymnastics team is preparing for their first meet on Tuesday, September 13th. We are excited for their season to come. Moving on to our upcoming home games. On September 9th, we have football versus Old Bridge at 6:30. The theme is neon tie-dye. On the 10th, we have boys soccer versus North Brunswick. September 12th, we have girls volleyball versus East Brunswick. On the 13th, we have, and bear with me, girls soccer versus Monroe, field hockey versus East Brunswick, gymnastics versus North Brunswick and Piscataway, and cross country versus North Plainfield and St. Joseph's. On the 14th, we have girls volleyball versus South Plainfield, and on September 15th, girls tennis versus North Brunswick, and boys soccer versus East Brunswick. The 16th is girls volleyball versus Mother Seton, and the 17th is girls soccer versus Old Bridge. For football on September 23rd, we have a game against Piscataway with a theme of Retro USA. On October 7th, we have the anticipated homecoming game against Ridge with a pink out theme. Lastly, on October 21st, in the last home game of the regular season, the football team will verse Somerville, and the theme for this game is Blackout. Everyone is encouraged to come and support our Viking sports teams this season. Additionally, SBHS Athletics will be introducing GoFan digital ticket options for home football games this season. Cash tickets can still be purchased at the ticket booth each game, but if you want to purchase tickets in advance, you can go to our GoFan link. The ticket prices will be $3 for students, $2 for senior citizens, $5 for general admission, and free for pre-K and under. The 2022 SBHS Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony will take place on September 23rd, 2022 at halftime of the home football game versus Piscataway High School. Gates will open at 5:30 p.m., kickoff is at 6:30, and we hope you can make it. You can purchase your tickets in advance on GoFan or at the ticket booth on the 23rd. Here is a complete list of this year's inductees. We have Indira Morton for cross country, indoor track, and track and field, class of 2007, Ryan Smith for wrestling, class of 2008, Sophia Janez, class of 2010 for cross country, indoor track, and track and field, Brendan Verkeman for soccer, wrestling, track and field, also class of 2010, Jessica Diggory for gymnastics, also class of 2010, Kayla Del Piano for cross country, indoor track, and track and field, class of 2012, Lindsay Carbone, class of 2012, for gymnastics and track and field, Coach Joe Doherty for wrestling, Coach John Coppola for girls lacrosse, Elaine McGrath, the retired director of athletics, and the 1980 varsity basketball team head coach Dennis Dutry. Thank you all so much for your time. I look forward to working with you all throughout the rest of the school year, and I'm excited for what's to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ria, for your report. Now, for the report from the Superintendent of Schools, over to you, Scott.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to reiterate congratulations to our Hall of Famers. I see one of those Hall of Famers is actually watching right now, so to Elaine McGrath, congratulations to you as well. And we have some people here, so look, if you look to the left tonight, we have a lot of different people, but I want to honor a few of them and have them just come say a quick hello when I call your name. So these are new administrators and supervisors to the school district right now. And so, plus another assistant superintendent decided to show up again. So Evelyn's back there still. So I want to start with Vanessa Moreno, who is a new assistant principal of the 9th grade class at our high school. Vanessa, come say hello.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Vanessa Moreno here. I am truly honored to be welcomed by the South Brunswick District as I begin my career in administration. My first physical day was July 5th, and it has really been a pleasure to have been so warmly welcomed by everyone. I'm looking forward to an excellent year and working collaboratively with both students, teachers, and the rest of staff. Thank you so much.
All right, next we have Margaret, call her Meg Barry, and she is our new assistant principal at Crossroads North, right here.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I was a part of another district union for 15 years prior to this, so to make a move to a new district was a big decision for me, but throughout the process, I knew this was a good place for me to have a lot of growth and work with a lot of great administrators and staff members. I'm excited to start here. Everybody's been so welcoming at North. This is my building, so I conveniently knew exactly where to go today, which is not usual for me. But I'm really looking forward to my time here and bringing, you know, what I'm very good at to our building as well.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jaya Maharaj, and Jaya brought a guest with her. She brought Kaya, so Jaya and Kaya are here.
Hello, everyone.
Jaya is at Cambridge as a new assistant principal, also going to be working as a district member as an RTI specialist in the elementary schools. Dual role.
So, thank you, everyone. I look forward to being part of the South Brunswick community and bringing all my background and skills towards the dual roles that Mr. Fetter just outlined. I look forward to working with Christy Pemberton, the Cambridge principal, as well as the Director of Assessment, Suzanne Luckborn, in supporting students, staff, and families in the South Brunswick community. Thank you.
All right, our last assistant principal is back there. I think he brought a whole entourage with him. So Aju Matthews will be at Brooks Crossing as an assistant principal. Come on up.
Hi, good evening. I did bring an entourage. I just wanted to say a very heartfelt thank you to all of you for giving me this opportunity. This is my first stint as an administrator, and I appreciate greatly the responsibility and the trust that you've placed in me to do the best job that I can possibly do. And I'm also grateful for having a wonderful unofficial mentor in Jamie Macro, and I want to thank her also for her patience working with me. I look to bring whatever skills I have to this place and to this wonderful school district. I've heard nothing but great things about South Brunswick. I come from Jackson, so we know that there are a couple of ties between the two places, and so I look forward to this great experience that I have ahead of me. Thank you.
And our last visitor tonight, who's new to us, is Spanicia Wilson. Spanicia, I saw you come in back there. Spanicia, go ahead. Spanicia is our new supervisor in the middle school. Right now she's doing interim work for us as one of our supervisors is out on leave. And she's jumped right in, I mean, almost like immediately, which was huge for us. So welcome, Spanicia.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and the reason why I was able to jump in because the staff and the people here were so supportive. So thank you so much, and thank you, Meg. Thank you.
And just because some of our members were not here, we had some travelers over the summer. If Dr. Mammon, come on back up. You have new people to say hello to. Evelyn is our new assistant superintendent for C&I, and she came back to say hello to all the board members that were hanging out in other countries, actually, last month.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening. I'm really excited to be here. I said that the last time I was here, and it's been however many weeks, and I'm still elated. I've been back here a couple days, and the team's been fantastic. I have met some administrators, some staff, and certainly just really the more I come here and meet with people, the more comfortable I am. So I'm looking forward to working here on behalf of our children in South Brunswick. Thank you.
I will share that Dr. Mammon has already been working on projects. Her and Susan, yeah, she's doing dual roles right now for her other district. So hopefully they're not listening right now that they didn't hear any of that. It's all after hours, Tenafly. After hours, she does it for us. Don't worry. And I know she's been working with Suzanne, and they have dates. I don't know what's happening over there, but they got stuff going on. So thank you. And what you've seen, Vanessa's already started. She's talking about July. Meg's been here. Aju, you made it back on the first day, right? I did. Yeah. It was a close call, but he made it. He did it. Jaya, just so you know, we had a para. Now, Jaya has not officially started yet. Starting date is October 26th. And Evelyn's starting date is October 24th. But you wouldn't know it necessarily. We had a para job fair. And at that job fair, I walked into the job fair, and there were, I think I shared last month, there were about 100 paraprofessional candidates on lines waiting to get in. It was an all-hands-on-deck scenario, but 4 hands that were already there, even though they were not employed yet, were Aju and Jaya, were both there, digging in, great opportunity, baptism by fire, and they got to be part of that. And again, they've really already shown, all of these people have already shown just how valuable they're going to be to our district. So to everyone, welcome, and excited to have you here. I know your principals for the APs are happy, and both principals are happy you're here, Spanisha. You got 2 principals on your team already, and Raphael. So everyone's making a splash, and could not be happier with this new group of admin and supervisors. So again, welcome. And this meeting's going to be about 3 or 4 more hours. So Kaya, you're hanging. You said you were going to stay with me, right? You're not going to stay. You changed your mind. All right. Jaya, then you can take Kaya with you. It's fine. But we wanted to say thank you. And I'll finish my report, and after that, we'll take a little bit of a breather. We want to get Kaya home before. You got homework to do, Kaya? No. What are they going on in Franklin Park? Have them get some homework. All right. So let me move on to some upcoming information, which is kind of important. So this week is actually National Suicide Prevention Awareness Week. And one thing I want to share with you that's been in the works for about a year is a kind of make your mark, be the change. And that's a big project that's been happening, led by Dr. Rebecca High and Dr. Brian Eichert. They are actually launching this tomorrow at the high school, and then in a few weeks at the middle school. And this really is a program that runs about 30 minutes. They've honed it, they've worked through it, and they're very happy with their outcome. And I will say, we watched a video that Dr. High and Dr. Eichert put together with their team over the summer. It's fabulous. And I'll get you that video, actually, everyone, so you can have that after tomorrow as well. Really gets to the heart of what we need to do to take care of each other, take care of ourselves. So very proud of their work. They have a whole program so that all of our middle and high schoolers will have an opportunity for this. And again, I can't say enough. Dr. High and Dr. Icott get called on often, by me especially, but by others, for just their knowledge and effort they're putting in for the mental health of our community. Fantastic people. So Rebecca and Brian, if you're out there watching, I'm not sure if you are, thanks so much for doing amazing work, especially this long-awaited project of Make Your Mark. So great stuff. You guys will hear about it. It's a fabulous project. To keep going on that, the high school's public health club, they painted a large sign that will be up on Ridge Road, recognizing this week in the awareness. The Bridge Center, if you remember, we have the Bridge Center, works out of our high school and middle schools, mental health support, counseling support for students, and when we have crisis, they are there. And I will tell you that two people. Well, there's a bunch that I don't want to name because I don't want to miss anybody. The drivers were in great need of support this week and the first days of school, and Bridge was there. And actually, Bridge is their go-to. They actually asked for the person that was there when we lost Dean Battaglia last year. And that's that same person, Pam, went back there and made a huge difference to be supportive of our drivers. So they are a fabulous group of people, and they are involved, and they do their annual Suicide Prevention Awareness Walk. That is coming up on September 18th at Reichler Park. So if you want more about that, we can get you any information you want. The counselors do this work, and we always want to remind everybody that if you feel that your child needs to be seen for a mental health emergency, please make sure to get in immediate contact with your child's doctor and/or school counselor. We have a lot of resources, and if we are not the best resource, we find the best resource. This is a big deal. A lot of people put a lot of effort and time into this. So, Rhea, maybe we'll hear more about the experience. Next year, you have an extended tomorrow you have an extended homeroom, I believe, and you'll get a chance to see this and participate. So, I'd like to hear about that. So that's that. Really good news to share is the annual calendar. Every year we do this in calendar, and while the calendar itself, I don't know why we still call it a calendar. Having a hard calendar in today's world kind of is a little obsolete. However, it's a tradition. It's obsolete. But why it's still a tradition, we still produce the hard calendar. You'll get your calendar. There's your calendar. Go get your calendar. But what's really special about the calendar is not the calendar. It's the artwork. It's what these students produce. It is amazing. So if you don't use it, like I don't use a calendar that way, but if you just want a great piece of art, this is on my bulletin board at work. And Murph makes sure she turns the pages for me because I forget. But it's amazing art, and I really hope you'll have a chance to go through that, see this incredible work from our students. And that is a great representation of our art program and our art staff who do incredible things with these kids. It's really incredible to see it. So that's out. They're going to be distributed to our families this week. So they'll be going out shortly. Now I just want to do something. Suzanne Luckborn is here. And so I would feel remiss, Suzanne, if I did not talk about Start Strong. I would feel horrible not sharing that. Suzanne currently runs our testing administration, and she's currently working with Jamie Bomer, transitioning this to Jamie actually over the next year. But Start Strong is coming up, and that must occur, mandated by the state of New Jersey, to happen between September 19th and October 21st. So that's it. It's happening. It's going to happen in all the grades that it's required. And all the information from that, you either have it already or will be going out shortly by school so that everyone's aware of what's happening. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I shared last meeting, I share again a reminder. You will be receiving information from me probably in early October about a district budget committee. This is a big deal and something we're excited about. Some people have already read about it in the patch and have reached out with interest. That's great. But we're going to put out a formal process for building a district committee, and it's community. So it's not just school district. It's also people that live in our community. The budget affects everybody. It affects businesses in our community, even if they don't have any residents. It affects the residents, even if they're not kids in school. And it affects our families, of course, and our students. So we're looking for all the way from students up to whoever lives or is involved in this great township. So that's going to be coming in about early October, Dave. That's about when we feel we'll be through the opening and have time to commit to this work. So that's coming. Bad news to report. Bad news, we did not get preschool expansion aid. I did send out the letter that we received from the state. And the letter says absolutely nothing, except you didn't get it. We have no idea why. We have no clue why. We have really been gearing up for this, and we even have a displaced teacher that we knew would be a possibility based upon this. So I've already called the number on that letter and went to voicemail, and no call back as of yet. Hopefully that will happen tomorrow. We forwarded this letter to our local senator, to find out, to hopefully find if he could find out some information as to why. Again, they talked about a point system of scoring. Okay, we might not have had the points needed. However, right now it's akin to this. A child takes a test. Test never comes back to the child, and all they see is they get a grade. So child got a C. That's it. Never find out anything more. They don't know what they did wrong. They don't know where to improve. They don't know anything. Obviously, that is not the way to operate. So, our goal from the state is to find out where did we not get the points that would have allowed us to get the aid. And that way we'd hopefully have a chance to apply again. But applying again without this information, I don't know that I'd put our staff through that, to be honest with you. Because if it has to do with the free and reduced lunch percentage, and that number doesn't change, it would be kind of hard to put ourselves through all of this work. It was hundreds of man hours of time. Well worth it. Even if you didn't get it, it was well worth it. We had to try to get what we can for our community. We're hoping to learn something that tells us what the issue was. Again, not arguing that we should have. I don't know if we should have, because I don't know what the system is. So hopefully we'll get that information, and once I do, I will report back to the board and the community to find out where we fell short in their point system. We believe there's 2 areas. I can share that. There seems to be a direct funneling of preschool expansion aid desired to go not to school districts, to go to private preschool programs. There are rules that allow you to get, you can actually, if you are not a certified teacher and you work in our district, in a public school, you would not be able to get certified. However, if you work at Goddard, or nothing against Goddard, any of the schools, they have a special way to get them certified to teach preschool, but only if you teach in those environments. The grant also says they will give you more money per student if you don't do it yourself. We're having trouble with this. But since our initial plan did not develop a relationship with another, because we had 5 minutes to develop a 37-page plan and decide how we were doing preschool for 800 students, we didn't have time to go find a partner. We were only notified in July over the summer and had very little time to come up with a full-blown everything or start building partnerships. However, if we do get information as to why we were not awarded the grant, and one of the reasons is that, then we'll start doing that. We'll start to find relationships and start working with partners and build what they're looking for. We want our families to be able to have this. It's an amazing opportunity for families and kids. The other reason could be that our percentage of free and reduced lunch is too low. They might want higher. In fact, the only reason we were even invited this year is because they expanded the free lunch opportunity to districts that had between 10 and 20% free and reduced lunch. So we're probably right at the border of 10%. So if they were only looking for districts with higher percentages, and they had too much money, they didn't have enough money to give to everybody, we understand that too. But we need to know what it was, or we really can't get an A on the test next time. We're just going to get another C. And I don't know about you, but we're not going to take that test. If we don't understand why, it's kind of hard to keep taking a test. You have no idea why you're failing. So we're hoping to get that information. We hope the senator will help us get that information if they don't give it freely. I have no reason to believe they won't give it to us freely. I don't know why they wouldn't. But we'll see. So I wanted to give you that information. Kind of upset today about that. Actually, Jamie is host to where we would have had preschool. She already has preschools, but we would have been expanding. That means Jamie had to move things around in her school at Brooks Crossing, had to work with her teaching staff. I'll say her teaching staff was awesome. The teachers who were impacted and came out and were ready to help and ready to make things work. So that's what you have in South Brunswick. You have amazing people. As you joined a great team over there. So you would have, but you get no preschool as you. So forget it, nothing. So anyway, we're sad about that. But we'll find out. I'll report back. Back to school nights are coming. You'll get individual information from schools about this. We are currently still discussing format and trying to get this right so we can do what's best. One of the things we're talking about this year is this concept of de-implementation and looking at the best way to get outcomes, not just consider that the way you did it is always the best way. So we're looking at that and we're seeing, what are the goals of back to school night? How do we best achieve those goals? And what will we do that at the different levels? So that's just something that's coming down the pike. Nothing to report yet other than we're looking at it. Free reduced lunch, just so people know, food has been free for all students for a while now. It is no longer free. You have to apply and qualify for free and reduced lunch under the United States Department of Agriculture. So that's important because if parents in need do not apply, they don't get the benefit, and their students don't get the lunch and the breakfast they're entitled to. And then over the summer, there's benefits, they would not get that. So it's extremely important for families, if they believe they apply, to check in with us. We have a department that handles this out of David's office, and we want people to get what they need. So that's important to us. I do have one more thing. I waited till the end. Yes, here it is. So now I'm finished, but I do want to do a few things before I finish completely. It's hard to see what the staff does. And sometimes education gets the knock of it's a 10-month job. Of course, that's why 10-month employees love it because they get the summers off. They don't really do anything in the summer and blah, blah, blah. Is it a lighter summer for people? Yeah. Are certain 10-month positions free to have some more downtime and rejuvenation time? Absolutely. But if you think about what goes into this and the admin, the secretaries, our custodial teams, they're 12-month people. They're here all the time. They get this ready. But don't think that means the teachers just sit down and do nothing. They are working summer. The amount of vouchered hours we do in a summer is tremendous because those teachers are planning, building programs, looking at curriculum, rewriting curriculum. We have people doing stuff all summer. Our ESY program runs throughout the entire summer. Our Summer Institute runs throughout the summer. It is tremendous. We have 1,000 kids on site a day in the summer. So South Brunswick doesn't shut down for the summer. But look, it's still open and amazing work by our admin and all of our people in this district, our admin, our custodians. Look at these buildings. I tell you, go walk through this building. It's already been trampled on for 3 days. Meg, you let them run in the building? No running, right? Okay. So no one's run in this building for 3 days. But kids have been here, and I'm telling you, they keep this place amazing. They keep every building sparkling. And that's our custodial crew. They take pride in this. It isn't just, just come and hope it works out. They want this to glisten, and they do an amazing job of that. The last group I'm going to talk about is the Transportation Department. Now, Transportation Department had to move to an entire new schedule, right? A whole new schedule this year. And they are now running what we have affectionately known as triples. And if you've been following anything over the last 9 months, you know that we are moving to triples, and we have moved to triples. Now, let me tell you what that meant. That meant we were able to hire more of our own drivers, and the company we work with reduced their drivers, which was helpful. They reduced the numbers because they were struggling. Now, we met with them, and David's relationship with them is extremely important. And over a week ago, or more than a week ago, they told us the names of every driver on every route. And they had 2 extra drivers ready to go. We are also in great shape. And on the first day, even with a tractor trailer trying to mess us up, we still were pretty good. That was with road closures of a significant nature. And today and yesterday, second day of school, these buses were at the elementary schools. Pretty good. Not great, not perfect, but pretty good. Better than years that we had pre-COVID. So we're very, very confident and feeling very good about this. And the triples, we honestly believe, are the answer. It was fiscally necessary, but it also had so many other positives so far. Of course, Brooks Crossing and Indian Fields had to change their time significantly. I'd imagine the teachers are pretty tired by 3:30 right now. They're used to being done by 2:30. But they'll bounce, and they'll get used to it as well. But really, I would love for our board and anyone in the audience to give a round of applause for our transportation, our custodians, all of our 12-month students. And the last group I'm going to say are your senior staff. Kimberly, David, Suzanne's out there, and who else I got over here? We got Raphael, we got Sharon, Jamie Bomer, who I'm going to tell you, she's on your agenda tonight, right? Jamie on the agenda tonight? She was an assistant principal on assignment. And you say when you get a job, your job is to make yourself invaluable. And Jamie's made herself invaluable. So thanks to her, thanks to all of our team at BHL, all of our secretarial staff, they're 12-month people. All these secretaries and assistants at BHL, they're there every day, and they get this done. Behind the scenes, you don't even know what's going on, but they get it done, and it's amazing. So again, last group to thank are all those BHL folks. So thank you, guys. I'm sure I forgot somebody, so everybody else I forgot, thank you. And Kaya, thank you. Great job. All right, folks, and on that note, I finish my report.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. So we're going to continue now with the rest of the board meeting, but we can just take a minute or two recess if there's anybody that would like to leave. Of course, you're all welcome to stay, but if you'd like to leave, this is the opportunity. Thank you. Thank you so much for attending.
We're watching.
Thank you.
We're all watching who's leaving, just so you know.
Bye, Ria. Moving on with the rest of our agenda, the next agenda item is public comments, and this will be on agenda items only. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. Complete copies of the rules that govern this portion of the meeting are available to the public at the back of the room, or you can obtain an advanced copy by contacting the board office during regular business hours. We reserve the right to limit each speaker to no more than 3 minutes. It is our plan to listen to each member of the public. We will note all questions and comments made. Once all questions and comments from the members of the public are made, the Board of Education will respond, if necessary, to questions or comments in the most timely and efficient manner available. Please consider not repeating comments and questions made by other members of the public. I ask that you state your name, your place of residence, or your group affiliation. Mr. Plowski, do we have any registered speakers?
We have no registered speakers at this time.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a public comment on agenda items only? Please state your name, place of residence, or your group affiliation.
Well, actually, I apologize. I have a question first. Do you guys have curriculum items on the agenda? I'm wondering if my comments are appropriate at this time. I just wasn't sure if I'd perhaps missed that.
Curriculum items on the agenda.
There are no curriculum items on the agenda. All right, my name is James Lavin. I will be waiting patiently.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so
Lavin.
much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just want to do one more thing, and I apologize for this. I did forget to mention Blair Eisman specifically, who all summer runs our PD, opening days. She stepped up tremendously to fill some voids we had, being that Evelyn is still not with us yet, and officially, but she doesn't know that she's not really with us yet, as I said before. But, so Blair specifically. But then, more importantly, I apologize, Ms. Metcalf, for not saying this before. I don't know if you are aware, but if you work in South Brunswick schools, the entire month, you can go to Pierre's every day and get a coffee and a bagel on the house for the whole month. Pierre's, if you don't know Pierre's, they are a local establishment right on George's Road, right across from this school. So if you want to go get some before you leave tonight, hey, take a right. They're right on your left over there. And they are amazing. And, you know, I go there often. And Pierre's a great guy. And they take care of this district beautifully. They are always there if we need something on the food side. And this was an above and beyond gesture for a local, you know, a local establishment like that. So Pierre, thanks so much. And hope you all frequent it so you get your free coffee and bagel. Beautiful thing. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Mr. Feder, for letting us know. Thank you. So moving on, and this is the consent agenda review and the walkthrough. So over to you, Mr. Pawlowski.
All right, everybody. As I said in the update, we have a very short agenda this evening. We have our transfers, financials, bills list. We have a transportation jointure motion where we are hosting with Franklin and North Brunswick on some transportation routes to some privates. We have some travel reimbursement, and we have student field trips. Last, a couple motions at the end, we have an approval of an addendum to an agreement, and then we are also have a motion to approve the submission for a stabilization aid application, which we will be applying for, sending out tomorrow to the Department of Education for an opportunity for us to obtain some stabilization aid. And then you have your personnel. So a very short agenda. If there's any quick questions, I can take some now. I think we
To my
covered
right,
everything.
Mrs. Rogers.
Yeah, Dave, I apologize, I didn't call you on this, I had some personal things to take care of. On 1.7, they approved the purchase over the bid limit. So for it's, from what I can see, the HVAC systems, is that for Crossroads North, or is that above and beyond the initial HVAC that we had discussed at the last facilities meeting? I just wanted just a little
No,
clarification.
this company is providing staffing to fill positions at the request of the district for a period, for the current school year. Because our HVAC maintenance crew is down so many people.
Okay.
And our staffing is so short within our maintenance department that we're actually having to go out to contract with companies to find people to come in, vendors to come in and do work for us.
Okay, so, and I apologize, so is this,
Consider like a sub-service.
it's for the entire
Yep.
district? Does it affect, will it affect HVAC that we had?
No, so
No.
this is more,
this is
figure if a
Just
teacher's
completely
out,
across the district,
teacher's
anywhere
out-
they need to go? Got it.
we fill a teacher slot.
Okay,
They're filling specifically HVAC
Right.
slot.
okay. So I see the labor, that makes sense to me now. The crane and the materials, what would that be? Is that the same situation in case we need materials or crane, or why are we looking at that to add to?
I don't see crane or materials on.
Let me pull up here.
1.7?
1.7A, it says materials unit 57,990 times 7%, 62,049, crane 4,500. Right here? No, isn't that the one? I pulled up this one.
You're in April.
I'm in April 2022. Shoot.
Not yet.
My apologies.
It's okay.
I-
We're on
I don't know why that
different
came
consent
up.
agenda there.
I'm so sorry. That's my apologies. But you know what?
have
At
you
least you
shaken.
cleared up that one
Yeah,
thing.
there you go.
I don't know why that came up.
All right,
Okay.
everybody.
My
The right's
apologies.
done.
Any
We'll
other
move over to the
questions?
left.
No more questions to the right? Anybody else? No? To the left, any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much, Mr.
All right.
Pawlowski, for
You
those
got it.
clarifications. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that, but I thought I pulled it up right.
Luckily, the children have left. Okay, moving on to old business now. On the agenda, under number 1, it says board retreat. So, Mr. Nathanson?
Yeah, so for the people that were out last week, I requested that this be put on the agenda. We are here on Thursday, and the retreat is supposed to be on Monday. We have no agenda. We haven't discussed the agenda. I personally won't be able to make it. Mr. Keener also stated that he wouldn't be making it. It is, even though our administrators would be there, it's still not ideal for them to show up to a extra evening meetings like this in the beginning of school. So I'm looking to push this back to some future date.
Thank you, Mr. Nathanson. Any other comments? So, yes,
Keener.
Mr. Keener?
Thank you. In addition to what Mr. Nathanson said, actually, Ms. White did say that she was not available from our administrative team. And we're looking at it as now, Mr. Pulowski, has it been advertised?
Yes, it was.
It was. So I think that we have not received an agenda. Is there a topic for the meeting, Madam President?
Well, I did send everybody an email, Mr. Keener, on August 18th, asking everybody to give feedback. And I did not receive any feedback from board members, and I'd asked for that to be submitted by August 29th. So in lieu of that, and remember that this board retreat was a request that was made at the July meeting, and that is why we had sent out a doodle poll asking for availability in August. And this was the date, excuse me, I will just complete my sentence. And this was the date that most board members were available. But Mr. Nathanson here has made a suggestion that it be put back. And what I suggest to all board members is, if that's something that is agreeable to all more board members, we can push this back to a future date.
Well, if I may make a recommendation, I think it would be, at this point in time, kind of a moot point to continue trying to reschedule a second retreat that was supposed to be scheduled in July. The beginning of the school year is here. The administration is now kicked into gear to deal and work with the students and the staff, given their responsibilities that they have facing them, the issues that the district faced over the last couple of weeks to the deaths and the various issues that the schools had to deal with. I don't think it's not pertinent at this point. I would recommend that we just cancel it and reschedule, not reschedule, excuse me, and schedule the normal retreat, which is in January. And I would recommend that that retreat be, as we've done in the past, that Thursday following the reorg meeting. And if I'm correct, the reorg meeting takes place on January 5th, and the second board meeting of the month is on January 19th. So as we've done in the past, I would recommend that we hold that retreat in the middle, the 12th of January. And then this way, at that point, you have your elections are over. The individuals that have won the election will know that the retreat is scheduled on that day. I don't see a point in having a retreat this year. And if I may, I would recommend that at that retreat on the 5th, we schedule and put on the books the mid-year retreat in July, so that we're not going through this again. So I would like to make a motion that we cancel September 12th, and that the next retreat is after the reorg on the 5th, which is the 12th of January, actually.
Can I have a second, please, to that motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Nathanson, thank you for seconding. Any discussion about this? Anybody opposed? Okay, Mrs. Karthik.
Do we normally have 2 retreats in a year? How does that work? Because this is my first year. Do we have 2 retreats?
Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Mr. Feder.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So
Whoever can answer.
the idea of doing a retreat, was helping a new board become accustomed to what we do. So the January retreat was more about the legal updates and things that the new people would come in and have a chance to really be part of, and team building in that. Whereas the summer retreat would be one to really focus on board goals, district goals, more of the meaty work. Because in January, you can't really start making new goals for the year. You're already in the year. So that would have been the reason to do a July retreat, to work on that. So as of right now, I'm not sure. A few things are kind of out there still that we have to kind of bring in. But that's why I would recommend doing the two works if they're done, scheduled correctly, agendas that are clear, and all the right upfront work is done, then it becomes meaningful. If that isn't done, then it's kind of like where we are right now, which is catch as catch can, throw dates on a calendar with no agenda items. Doesn't really help the board or the community. So I would recommend the two, but yeah.
Okay, so the reason I asked this question is because since this is my first year and I attended one of the retreats. You can, okay. All right. Can you hear me now? All right. So I know that there is a scheduling conflict here. Mr. Nathanson as well as Mr. Keener is not available, and I think their participation is valuable to the board. Rather than postponing this up to January, I would recommend that we should have this somewhere in mid-October, if that works. That gives us enough lead time to look for schedules. I apologize, I was traveling out of the country, so Madam President, I could not respond to your email. I did see it on August 18th that you had sent it out. I do have some items that we can perhaps think about and discuss at our board retreat, which would be pertinent to board business that we want to conduct, and also discuss it in a more informal sort of setting. So it is my recommendation, and I would love to have Mr. Keener and Mr. Nathanson at that retreat. Maybe we should, if it's too late to add to agenda items, and keep the September 12th meeting, and then we are going to lose out on Mr. Nathanson's as well as Mr. Keener's participation, why don't we look at a date in October, if that works?
Suggestion. Mr. Krishna?
Yeah, just a couple of points. I think one is that we should not skip when it is there as a process. And if we don't have agenda items, there's always a lot of points that we can think about and put it on the agenda. And the second point is that it should be that everybody attends and their availability is kept in mind, even if it is slightly later in the year. I think it is one great thing comes out of any of these is team building, which we definitely need twice a year, and we should not miss the opportunity. And then we can always have the new members joining in January and getting another one. We can prepare for that in this retreat. Iron out things and get new points on the board, but provided everybody is available and everybody can be part of the team building. Thank you.
For your comments and your feedback. Anybody to the left have any comments? Dr. Raj?
I echo Mr. Krishna and Mrs. Karthik's sentiments. We'd rather it's a good idea to seek everybody's availability and make sure that we still go on with the retreat. And last retreat too, it was held sometime in October 2001. So instead of skipping, I'd rather we go ahead and hold the retreat. Make sure that everybody is available.
Thank you, Dr. Raj. So we have two, okay, Mr. Keener?
And I appreciate all the feedback. Just so you realize, the month of October, we already have 2 board meetings scheduled, and our administrative staff, as well as us on the board, will be at the SBBOE conference the week for 3 days. So the month of October is pretty well shot already, just so you know.
Yeah.
So that goes back to the point that why hold it just for the sake of holding it? October is shot. Now we're in November, which is a short month. Then we're in December. So the month of January and getting back onto the cycle of January and July would make sense, my opinion.
Mrs. Rogers?
And I echo Mr. Keener's comments. I was actually going to say the same thing about the NJSBA conference. What I would recommend is, since the July meeting usually has to do with setting goals, we now have 3 committees. Each committee could, at their next meeting, solidify the goals that they want to complete in those committees. So for example, you know, the facilities can come up with 3 or 4 goals. They already have three or so goals. We could do the same with the new one, as well as curriculum, thank you. And then solidify those goals with the members of that committee. That could be the first thing. The second thing is, if we want to do board goals, we could utilize the goals that we currently have, and at the next board meeting, review those goals to see if they were attained, and then everyone can come with maybe a new goal or to identify the goals that we want to do. We could do those goals at the next board meeting. Because really that is, as Mr. Fetter said, that's really the point of the mid-year retreat, is to review goals. Did we hit the goals? What do we want to accomplish 22-23? So again, recommendation, each committee submits their goals to their own committee, confirm them, review them with the entire board, and then the second is to have the board goals set at the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Rogers, for your suggestions. So we have 2 options here on the table.
Well, just right now, you actually have a motion that's been seconded that needs to be voted upon.
Well, let me repeat the
Okay,
motion.
so.
Or you still discuss.
Okay.
You didn't make a motion. Barry's
Oh, Barry made the motion. I suggested. No, I made the motion.
You made the motion?
I made the motion.
Oh, yeah. Lisa Rogers made the motion. Barry seconded.
It's right there. So the motion is to cancel, let's do it one by one. So I'm going to restate that we cancel September 12th, and I retract the motion to just continue with the January one. So my motion will be cancel September 12th, and then to have committees create their own goals, review them, commit to them, and then at the next board meeting, present those goals to the entire 9-member board and create or review 21, 22 goals, accomplishments, and set 22, 23 goals.
Thank you, Mrs. Rogers. So I feel that we have discussed this motion, but if there's anybody else that has any.
The January meeting will be set.
Just hold. You guys need to focus here.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
This is not working. So you made a motion the first time. I don't know what you just did, but it was not the same motion you made before, so that's all. That's gone. The new motion, I honestly could not tell you what it is.
Okay.
But no, please, hold, just hold a second. Just hold 1 second. Let me try and get this on track. Once a motion is made, it has to be seconded. You can't just start, other things happen.
Right.
So the discussion that happened was great. There was discussion about the
Yes.
original motion. That's what happens.
Yes.
What's going on now, I don't even know. We didn't vote on the first motion. You discussed it, then it was, I don't know what you're doing yet. So
No, I'd like to vote on the first motion.
I'm gonna make a suggestion to you guys for a
Yes.
second.
Okay.
Number 1, district goals are not what you're gonna do in committee.
No.
Number 1, that's not happening.
No.
Board goals
Yes.
can be discussed in many different ways. The idea of October or November, whenever that would fit, can do that, and I see the points of that. The challenge is you're gonna have a changeover of board
Right.
a few months later, so you have that little issue with it.
True.
Which is fine. I mean, I think you know, it's fine to have multiple retreats with purpose, and I do think it's important to have purpose. So I would just suggest you look at it one way or the other. If you would like to do a retreat, and let's go with deepest concept of October or November or a date like that. I'm assuming that's what you're trying to say. Let's consider that, or move it over to January and do that. But the idea of the goal, move the goals out for a moment. Like, move goals out for a moment.
Okay.
We can talk about goals separately. I just think it's important to just stay on the topic of, do you want to retreat?
Or not?
before the end of this year,
When, yeah.
or, so someone can make a motion to that effect. And the first one, Lisa, that you made, well, I'll take care of the retracting. But what I'm saying is, you're looking to just make a simple decision, and what happens at the retreats can be discussed after. But the simple decision seems to be the two competing interests are this school year, by January, prior, between the now and sometime in December.
Yes.
Or hold, wait for a new board to come on, and then do one in January, focusing on that team building concept and those things that we discussed. I don't have a right or wrong answer, and no one on this board has a right or wrong answer. It's okay to have competing beliefs about something, no matter what it is. So I would just ask for something simple, either the first motion, and then you can reject that motion if no one wants that motion, that's fine, or the second idea, but one of those, please, because that's kind of where you need to get to.
Yeah, I would like to go back to the first motion, and based on what Ray was saying, October is not only 2 meetings plus school boards. You have Yom Kippur and you have Diwali. So you have 2 additional closed days. October is a tough month to do anything at this point. So again, the motion that I seconded of Lisa's is canceling Monday and moving something to January, and before after reorg, we can schedule something with the board at that time.
Thank you,
Can I try and make this solidified, and let's see if you guys can go with this? You can vote any way you want to vote. Motion would be cancel Monday's meeting and have the retreat on January 12th.
That's the
Fine.
And then you could vote that motion down, vote it as a yes, but I would just advise again, do not discuss what, it's just the when at the moment.
I'm not
That's the
discussing
motion.
what.
And just,
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Nathanson, just one small clarification. Actually, the convention in Atlantic City falls smack bang in the middle of Diwali, so it wouldn't be additional days. It's exactly at that same time. So we do have the convention, yes. We do have Yom Kippur, but the Diwali falls within those convention dates, just to let you know. Okay, so let's move on to a vote, please.
Well, you need a motion. I didn't make a motion.
Okay,
I'm asking someone to make a motion.
I will move canceling the meeting.
The motion on the table is what?
There's a motion on the table.
Yeah, the
Cancel
motion is on the table.
September 12th, schedule a board retreat in January 12th.
That's been
Can I have a
seconded.
second?
That's
already been
first and second.
Been seconded.
Is there any more
Okay.
discussion? would be
Any
the next
more
question.
discussion? Dr. Raj, please.
Could we just try, if we can schedule a retreat? I understand, I see October calendar is full, but could we just try to see if there is a possibility to schedule a retreat in October or even late September and see everybody's availability before we say that, okay, it is impossible, let us move it to January?
That should be a second
No, that's,
discussion.
that's
No,
a
I'm
discussion.
thinking it-
Guys.
Hold on.
That's discussion,
Excuse
which
me.
is appropriate.
Right.
And then you've made your statement.
Right, let us vote on this first
Well,
one.
but she's
Before
discussing
the vote,
before she
before the
votes.
vote discussion.
That's correct.
It's
She's
part of the
discussing it.
discussion. Okay,
Okay.
that's
That's
fine.
what happens.
Okay.
Now, if there's no
Any
more
other
discussion,
discussion points?
you vote.
Any other discussion points to my right? Mrs. Karthik?
I already made my point. My point was, a retreat is very helpful. I would like to have another retreat this year. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the feedback. Okay, so we have a motion on the table. We have a second. So it's my duty to ask if there are any oppositions or any abstentions. We can, so this is the time.
It's a roll call vote.
Roll call. Mr. Pawlowski, please.
Ms. Deepa Karthik,
No.
Mr. Rajakrishnan,
No.
Mr. Ray Keener,
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Smith-Daraj,
No.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers,
Yes.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti,
Yes.
Mr. Barry Nathanson,
Yes.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta.
No.
The yeses have it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pulowski. So hope that's clear now. So the board retreat will take place in January, okay, after the reorg. Mrs. Rogers has suggested the 12th. The 12th.
That was the motion.
12th of January next year. Thank you, Mr. Pulowski, for that. Thank you. Moving on to the next, Mrs. Karthik?
Yeah, I wanted to make a motion to have the retreat either in October or November that is suitable to all my board colleagues. If we can work together to just find one day between October and November,
Okay.
I'd be really grateful to all of the 9 members on this panel as well as my administrators. Yes,
Add a retreat.
right. And
So you're looking to, your motion would be to add a retreat at a time when all members can be present in the October time frame. Just by itself, add a retreat. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
I just want to add a retreat.
Thank
Do we
you,
have a
Mrs.
second?
Karthik. Do we have a second, please? Mr. Rajakrishna, thank you. Okay, any discussions, any further discussions to Mrs. Karthik's proposal? Seeing none? Okay, roll call. Mr. Pulowski, please.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik,
Yes.
Mr. Rajakrishna,
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener,
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell,
Yes.
Dr. Smith-Daraj.
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers.
Yes.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti.
Yes.
Mr. Barry Nathanson.
No.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta.
Yes.
Yeses have it.
Thank you, Mr. Pulowski.
Look for a meeting in October
Right.
to add a retreat.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, great. This is great. So moving on now to the second agenda item, which is tennis courts. So anybody want to open up this discussion? Mr. Keener?
Yes, I would like to open up the discussion. We talked about it at the last board meeting, and I had put together a proposal that the township really kind of embraced as a step forward for us. The details of it would be that we would open the tennis courts to the public from September through October 31st. During the tennis season, for the fall teams to have the courts after school up until about 5:30 p.m. So when high school dismisses, they would have availability of the courts up until 5:30 p.m. The public would have the courts to their disposal from 5:30 until 8 or 8:30 p.m., at which point we have staff that can go and lock the gates. We don't have any additional expense. We don't put lighting on or anything like that. We can secure the public and then use the courts. On the weekends, we would we're in touch with the athletic department to find out what schedule they would rather have for practice on Saturday. Would they rather have the morning schedule, which would be from 8 to noon, or would they rather do practice from noon to 4? Again, we have staff at the building. There's no additional cost to us. Which I presume our tennis coaches are going to select the morning. At noon, the courts would be open to the general public. They can use the courts, and at 4 p.m., we would lock the courts. Courts are closed completely on Sundays, and then we would come up with a schedule during the course of the summer so that our tennis teams and coaches have availability, and we would work out a schedule that we would post for the public to be able to use the courts, again, at no cost to the district nor to the township. We would secure the courts so that the public can get on, and then, open them up so the public can get on, and then secure the courts so that no one is on. So I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this, and I would work closely with the administration here as well as the township council to post the signage that would be necessary, put it on the website both here and on the township so that the public knows that they have courts available.
Scaletti? Thank you, Mr. Scaletti.
I have a question, Mr. Keenan.
One second. Discussion is opened up. Mr. Nathanson?
Yeah, that's Crossroads only, correct?
I'm sorry, Crossroads, correct.
Correct.
Crossroads.
So it has to be before sunset because there's no lights at Crossroads, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr.
Yes.
Raj?
I would like to understand this whole thing a little better. So the first question is, for public who want to use the courts, will there be a sign-up system? Do they have to reserve the courts? And the second question will be, if there is a damage to the district property, how will it be held accountable?
Yeah, you want to.
So the answer to your first question is there will be no sign-up.
Okay.
First come, first serve. And if there's damage, it will be incurred by the school district and the taxpayer.
Any
Just one
other
thing,
question?
Ray?
Yes.
The township has no skin in this game.
No,
They're not involved in any way, actually.
correct. The reason they say they pay the taxes and they want to have access to it, but no, they don't have any skin
The
in it.
municipality of South
Correct.
Brunswick did not want to assume the tennis court, so you came up with an idea of how
Correct.
to offer it yourself as a way to do this. But when you mentioned in your opening the township would be doing signs, I can tell you the township is not going to do signs. At least there's no sign they're going to do no sign they're going to do signs.
Right.
But we would have to do the signs and handle all the aspects of the courts. It's the
Part of
district.
my negotiations when I contacted the township was going to be asking for some assistance.
I hope you get it.
I will let you know.
Just real quick. One of the things we have to be aware of, on Saturdays, we have nothing happening at South. There's no custodians there. We closed Crossroads South and North on Saturdays. So if you open up tennis courts there on Saturdays, somebody from the district is going to have to open them, close them, and there will be nobody there to monitor anybody playing tennis on Saturdays.
Do the tennis teams practice on Saturdays during the season?
If they do, they're with their coach.
So we don't have staff, we don't have custodial staff
No.
on site?
Yeah, I just had a clarification. Is this opened up for people only to the district or only to the South Brunswick committee, or anybody can come in?
The intention is for only South Brunswick residents.
So how do we monitor?
We really don't, as we said on the sign-up, we
I
don't,
don't think that's a good idea.
okay?
So thank you for the work on this, Ray, because it's been, I know, a lot of discussion in the district and amongst the taxpayers that want to play tennis, and I understand that. My question is, there are individuals that also will look at whether or not the track is going to be open, because if we open one facility, there are going to be athletes that want to participate on the track. I know many of them have asked me personally, and I said, no, the high school is closed because it is there for the athletes. I know that we have an issue at the high school where some people are jumping the fence, which unfortunately that is really bad, because if anybody gets injured, that's a problem. But if we open, my concern is if we open a athletic location to one set, then would it be fair to say we should open it for another set? And I don't know what the answer is to that, but I'm looking at it from two perspectives. One, allowing other athletes or other people to utilize the services, but two, my concern now is that we won't have anybody monitoring or opening and closing. I would recommend that we continue looking at this to see if there's a solution to see if we can find, I don't know what that solution is yet. Is it maybe a, I don't know, some type of an electronic device that you have to be able to code in and you get that code from somebody, or you pay, $1 to get in, so it's tracked as to who's using that in case there is damage. I'm being 50,000 foot here. But, is there another alternative that the township would be willing to work with us to try to find that solution?
To your point as far as the track, yes, that's a concern, but I'll just say the word basketball to you. We already open our buildings to the township for basketball. So this is another step. Maybe down the road, we have to look at what we want to do with the track. And there are probably some kinks that we have to work out, but this is that cooperative shared services between the township and the school district that we're trying to work out something with them to show good faith that we want to cooperate, we want to work, we want to be a partner. So here's a step. We may have to revisit it in 6 months, but at least let's take a step forward so that we can do something.
How many, does anybody know how many tennis courts we have in the district, not the district, excuse me, in the township? Do we know how many we have? And where they're located?
There are about 4 throughout the district. It's on the district, it's on the township
Because I know
website.
the courts in Woodlot.
They just resurfaced.
They just resurfaced, so they're brand new resurfaced. So we only have 4. Where?
What is it? We're talking about the same thing, aren't we?
Reichler Park.
Reichler.
On New Road, right?
That's the community center.
It's the community
correct.
center.
Well, that's been resurfaced.
Yes.
Is the township, has the township indicated at all that they would be looking at creating new tennis courts, say in the new park, Roland? Have they indicated any potential?
They have not. They have said that right now they don't have the funding to do anything. They did receive $200,000 from a grant or from something from the state that helped them resurface some of the tennis courts that they have now to get them into playing condition. But right now, they have no funds to do any new tennis courts.
One second, Mr. Nathanson, so sorry, but there's people waiting to speak. Mrs. Karthik?
Yeah, it's fine. Mr. Nathanson started. He can, then I'll start.
There are other areas that have tennis courts. Veterans Park has tennis courts. And I guess it's Beekman or there's 4. Beekman, there's 4 courts. They also produced, and I don't know the locations, they've made, what is it, not paddleball, whatever, the new pickleball courts. They've made some new pickleball courts in the area, and that's about it. But, I hear you as far as the track is concerned, but we're going a lot, to even open Crossroads, because this is not, and I applaud Ray for attempting to do this, but we've been talking to the township for years and years and years to try to resolve this. So, I, for one, I don't think the district should invest with electronic stuff or card slides or anything, because the bottom line is if they're damaged, especially the fields, because allowing the track to be open, we're allowing them to have access to the football fields. It becomes very expensive if it's damaged, and it also hurts our students by that happening. So, and for instance, it happened in Old Bridge last year. They just carte blanche to open the high school. Someone damaged their brand new turf fields, and they had to play towards the end of the season all their games away.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nathanson. Mrs. Rogers wants to reply.
I'm not asking that the high school track field be open. What I'm saying is, if you're looking at Crossroads tennis courts opening, the track at Crossroads has, the field at Crossroads has a track. So my recommendation was, if you're going to do one, do we need to do both? And it would have nothing to do with the high school. It would have to remain at the track at Crossroads. So point of
I
clarification.
understand, but you can also damage that field, and that would hurt Crossroads football and other sports that use the field.
Just so you know, we have not been approached for anything as far as the track.
Yes.
Right now, the focus on tennis courts.
Correct.
Mr. Pulaski?
Just jump in on tennis courts real quick. So, of course, I've been part of this conversation back and forth, and I can say that there's a program out there that we use that everybody kind of tries to avoid, and it's called Facilitron. And in Facilitron, anybody, all it would require is somebody to create a South Brunswick tennis group. And they can have all of their friends give themselves, you can pay $10 to join the South Brunswick tennis group.
Good idea.
And then you can get yourself an insurance certificate, which are pretty simple. And with that, the South Brunswick tennis group could go into Facilitron and they could rent our tennis courts and they could play Monday through Friday, anytime they want.
So just know,
The reason we're here tonight is because nobody wants to do that. They just want to come and play.
Okay.
And that's the dilemma we're in. So
what David
there's a
just brought up,
process.
just so you know the
That's-
history,
exists.
this exact thing has already been offered to the people that wanted to play tennis. Exactly what Dave's shared. Form some form of tennis group, use the facility. It's about accountability to usage. You wouldn't let somebody come into your home and or if you had a pool, just let people go into your pool and use your pool. You have accountability. Because why? You're liable. You're responsible. If you open your doors and let someone into your house and they get hurt, it's your responsibility. That's the way it works. So this concept has been offered. The concept of, someone actually texted me during this about what the dog park, I don't know if I would use the dog park here, but there's an electronic system on the dog park.
Right. We use that.
We approached the township about that exact system to partner with us on the tennis courts, using that exact system. That was 4 years ago. So we recently had meetings with them that Ray is helping out to try and get this done. It sounds like what might be the best solution for the immediate is to form a little group that Ray has been leading. It could be just our own the shared service. We can continue to work with the township and see if there is common ground, because it needs to be addressed. David's idea exists already. Like, that could happen tomorrow if somebody wanted to do this. At the town, not the township, townspeople could do this. It's there. But the idea of opening the courts, is it the biggest risk in the world? It's not. But that's what Ray is proposing a plan that puts something in place to expand the usage for the township to use it. Is it perfect? I don't even think Ray believes it's perfect. But Ray's committed to doing something to help this community with tennis. It has been asked since I've been on the board, I've been here for 5 years, it's been a topic. So, the idea of figuring it out is really important. If it means opening, even when we do have someone, even for a little bit, whatever it is a start. It's a start. And it's not perfect. So.
Can I ask a very quick question, Mr. Pulaski or Mr. Feder? How difficult and how expensive would it be, in your suggestion, right, to get a group together and to get some sort of liability coverage? Would that be an expensive process? I'm assuming that it would be like for those months.
I wouldn't know the process on that. I can tell you, if you walked into any insurance company and said, "Hey, I got a bunch of guys that are looking to play tennis on the tennis court, and we need an insurance rider,"
It's a rider.
I'm sure they'll provide one for you. I can tell you that the courts at Crossroads South will cost next to nothing for people to rent.
Thank you for that clarification.
The other part, Roger brought up a point. If you don't have some form of system,
right,
and someone from outside of South Brunswick just gets there first on that day,
You can't control it.
you know, the idea of using a system in some way,
Right.
whether it be a key card, something, might be very helpful to meet the best of both worlds. So if there's a commitment from the board to figure out a way to open these courts, then I say, let Ray work on this, come up with a plan that has incremental stages to get something happening on the quicker side, and figure it out. It's gonna take more than what we're gonna solve, banging around ideas at this table for now.
Right.
But they're all good, but I'm just saying, let that happen, like that's something you could push, and we can work with Ray and the township and try to get something done quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Feder. Mrs. Karthik?
Mr. Keenan, thank you for putting this together. Now, I understand there is a desire from a certain section of the community to utilize these tennis courts, and we also have existing tennis courts in our township, but expanding use of the school property towards our community is a noble thought. It is fraught with other considerations also, but I applaud your effort to sort of put all this time and consideration into this idea. The only I had two points to make. First was a comment and the second was a question. My comment is that I completely agree with my fellow colleagues who think this is an added dimension to usage of our tennis courts, which leads to lack of accountability if we don't know who's using them and how they're using them. And we have a responsibility to protect the quality of our tennis courts, first and foremost for our students. And I think that is our prime responsibility, to ensure that the quality of these tennis courts is maintained for our children. The second thing is I had a question is, I believe there's some history around usage of these tennis courts where in the past the community was allowed to use them. And at some point that facility was either, and my understanding could be mistaken, this is hearsay, I didn't read it from a document. So I would like somebody to help me with that. Was there a precedent to using these tennis courts, at some point in time, just like that, like without any facilitron, no process, just walk into the school property and utilize those tennis courts?
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, at one point prior to our time here, the Crossroads South tennis courts were free will, and the lights on the tennis courts were turned on and left on till the next day. And we kind of, when we first came on board, we kind of taken over that whole process, which got us to an organized sign-up process such as that you'd find in Facilitron.
If I may just comment to Ms. Karthik. If I recall correctly as well, the high schools were also open. And there was tremendous damage to the courts, so that the district then had to resurface the courts at the cost for the cost of the district had to do it. So at that point, that's when I believe, this is prior to my time, but the board then decided no more because it was costing the school district a large amount of money to resurface, which is why they were closed. And I wasn't here, but I think that's actually a very valid situation. I had a question. I don't know if Raj, no, Mr. Did you have anything?
No, I just wanted to say, I know this is taxpayers' money and taxpayers should get the facility and everything, but tennis is one sport that every parent wants their kid to try it out. And 50% of them will try to get a career in it or at least play till high school. So the usage is going to really increase as soon as we open it up free of cost. And that is going to lead into my understanding, and because I've been part of the community for at least now 20 years here, there is a lot of connectivity in neighboring districts, and all of them are like well-knitted communities, and they play tennis together. So once you open it up, there's going to be much, much more higher use than what actually we are thinking about. So there has to be some kind of checks and balances so that it is not misused, and the taxpayers who are paying, it gets utilized for the correct purpose and not just we, like in the past, we've used taxpayers' money to repair things which were not required to be repaired so soon.
Thank you, Mr. Krishna. Mrs. Rogers?
So 2 points. One on the electronic entrance, which I had brought up earlier. I would think that this district, the dog park already has it, as mentioned, because I've used it. There's another district that has the coding system to enter, and forgive me, I just can't think of the district right now, because I did look at it, and it works fine. And I think the Facilitron app access, or the application through Facilitron, is really a perfect way to go. My question then to Dave is, if a person were to go on Facilitron right now, and I'm not saying that we're going to open it right now, I'm just asking the question, if they were to go on Facilitron right now, they can request a room in a building. Can they easily request the tennis court, or would that have to be an additional application that needs to be placed on Facilitron?
It's not an application, it's just an option.
An option, I'm sorry. Yeah,
So yeah, it's a very simple ad. I would also note that after their reservation is confirmed, they would receive a QR code printout that they could download to their phone, that they could show anybody on the facility that they had permission to be there.
Can that, and I might be going a little too far, and maybe this is another discussion at another time, so please tell me if it is, but that QR code could also be used for entering into the, no? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussions to my right? Seeing none. To my left? Seeing none. Mr. Keener, would you mind just repeating your motion that you had on the table, please?
Well, the motion I gave was to open up the tennis courts, but this great discussion that we just had, I'm going to pull that motion back, because this is information that I've been looking for, and I appreciate all the openness and the candor. I want to go back and visit it with the township. I appreciate the information, but there's more work to do, so I will take it forward and get back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. So we will table this, the tennis courts discussion.
No, not tabling. Not tabling it, just pulling his motion.
It's not tabled.
It's on hold.
Carry over old business.
Carry over old business
Old
for the
business,
next.
carried over to the next board
Hopefully I
meeting.
can get with the township before then, but-
Okay. So Mr. Keener has withdrawn his motion. So we will, if there's no more discussion now on the tennis courts, we will move on to new business. There is no new business at this time. Moving on to action items, we need to approve the consent agenda of September 8th, 2022. Thank you, Mr. Nathanson. Can I have second? Dr. Raj. Thank you. Any oppositions? Any
Roll call.
abstention? Roll call. Mr. Plowski, please.
Mrs. Deepa Karthik?
Yes.
Mr. Rajakrishnan?
Yes.
Mr. Ray Keener?
Yes.
Mr. Mike Mitchell?
Yes.
Dr. Smith Raj?
Yes.
Mrs. Lisa Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Joseph Scaletti?
Yes.
Mr. Barry Nathanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Joyce Mehta?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Plowski. Now moving on to board committee and liaison reports. I'm looking to my right. If there are any board committee liaison reports, Mrs. Rogers.
Yeah, this just is for the update to curriculum committee. We have yet to hold a curriculum committee. Given the extensive amount of work that, again, the administration had to do prior to opening, we decided the best thing to do was to cancel the 8th. So I still have to talk with Mr. Fetter. We just haven't had a time to chat, to reschedule it, and it will also be based on the appointment of the coming on board is Dr. McMahon. So sorry. We are going to have to find a date.
Thank you,
Thank
Mrs. Rogers. Anybody else to my right? Mr. Keener.
For the HR committee, we are scheduled to meet again on September the 14th, but as of right now, there really are no items for the agenda. I will reach out to Ms. Malloy White and Mr. Federer to see if anything is needed to be gone over, and I will let the committee know.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. To my left, any board committee liaison reports? Seeing none. Myself, I'm the board liaison to the South Brunswick Commission on Women, and just a very, very short report. Save the date, please. October 16th is when the South Brunswick Commission on Women will be having the domestic violence walk. The location has not been confirmed 100% as of yet, but I will provide that information at the next board meeting and the timings of that. But right now, it's just save the date. The Commission does amazing work, especially in the field of domestic violence, and we will have a lot of speakers there, and it should be a very interesting walk, so please save the date. Thank you so much. Moving on now to our second opportunity for public comment, and this is on any topic. Mr. Pawlowski, do we have any registered speakers, please?
We do not at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Pawlowski. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to make a public comment? Please. Please state your name, your place of residence, or your group affiliation.
Hi, my name is James Lavin, and I'm the father of a 5th grader at Indian Fields. And I'm here because this year, you guys have voted to use Ibram Kendi's stamped racism, anti-racism, and you in my son's class. My problem is, it's full of, honestly, racist lies. And let me please explain. He says a few things. There are some serious definitions of types of people. Segregationists are haters, like real haters, people who hate you for not being like them. Then there's assimilationists, people who like you only if you act like them. And then there are anti-racists. They love you because you're you. That's just untrue, because that's not his definition of anti-racism. His definition of anti-racism in his book, How to Be Anti-Racist, because any 5th grader is going to think, well, I love people, of course I'm anti-racist. But that's not what it really means. You're trying to groom children into a bigoted ideology. What he really means is the defining question is whether the discrimination is creating inequity or equity. If discrimination is creating equity, then it is anti-racist. So there you go. Discriminating, if it creates equity, is actually anti-racist. That's what he means. If discrimination is creating inequity, then it is racist. Someone producing inequity through permanently assisting an overrepresented racial group into wealth and power is entirely different than someone challenging that inequity by temporarily assisting an underrepresented racial group into relative wealth and power. So there's that language. Overrepresented and underrepresented, and talking about equity. All right, I'm sorry, but this is openly racist, calling for racial discrimination and treating people differently based on their skin color, but they say they're doing it for a good reason. I just happen to think there's never a good reason to be racist or to discriminate. That's me. All right, equity. When they say that, what they really mean is the right mix of skin color. So when someone's underrepresented, it's racist. If someone's overrepresented, well, they need less of them because they're overrepresented. We have a large Indian and Asian population in this town. Okay, they talk about equity, overrepresentation. What are the highest paying careers in the United States? Well, medical. Overrepresented in medical is Indians and Asians. Overrepresented in the sciences are Indians and Asians. Overrepresented in engineering, Indians and Asians. When they say they want equity, what they really mean is they want less of you and your children. They want a proper balance. So they're willing to discriminate against children because they're the wrong skin color in a new racial caste system in the name of equity. I think that's wrong. All right, I'm 42 years old. I believe wholeheartedly in my heart and my soul in the message of the Civil Rights Movement and Dr. Martin Luther King. I treat everyone based on the content of their character. That's how I live my life. That's what I teach my son. And I do not want South Brunswick teaching my son that it's acceptable to discriminate against people based on skin color if they think they're doing it for a good reason in the name of equity. I'm sorry, there are a lot of people who thought that they were discriminating for a good reason in the past. The Ku Klux Klan thought they were doing the moral thing. They were discriminating and they thought it was for a good reason. So is this. All right? So parents, and this isn't just something that's hypothetical. In school districts in Minnesota, the teachers' union just signed a new contract where they are going to prioritize getting rid of teachers of this certain skin color because they're overrepresented, and if you're underrepresented, you'll be fired last. They don't care how good the teachers are. They're talking about skin color. The same thing is happening at universities. Indian and Asian students. This nice young lady, right? In order for her to get into Harvard or Princeton or some other university, she needs to score hundreds of points higher than white and black and Hispanic children. I think that's wrong. But in the name of equity and anti-racism, that is exactly what they want. This nice young girl is held to a different standard because she's the wrong skin color,
Mr.
and you
Lavin,
want to teach, I'm
you have-
sorry, yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you for your
I just
comment.
want you to know, guys, I am here to protect my son, and I've asked that he not be taught this racist bigotry, that you call anti-racism, because there are other options. There's many of other resources that you can use. I know you guys have to
Thank
do
you for your
things for
comment.
equity and justice, but there are many, many other authors, Dr. Carol Swain, Bob Woodson.
Mr. Lavin.
Yes, no, I hear you. I
Thank
hear you
Well,
entirely.
please,
Even
you have 3 minutes.
No, I know.
You're-
Is anyone else here
you're-
going to talk?
You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
We
so
thank you
here's
for
the
your
thing, guys.
comment.
Okay, I appreciate that. One final thing. All right, you guys voted. I want to look each of you in the eye. Do you think children should be discriminated and treated differently based on their skin color? Do you believe in a racial caste system where children are the wrong color and there are enough of you at a university that they don't need
Mr.
you
Lavin,
anymore?
thank you.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate your
This is
comment.
my son, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
I don't want racism. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Not support bigotry and racism just because you're told to for a reason.
Thank you much.
Thank you, Mr. Levin. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to make any public comment? No? Seeing none? Moving on. The South Brunswick, we will now be moving into executive session. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Township of South Brunswick hereby moves into executive session in accordance with the Sunshine Law, Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, NJSA 1046 through to 10421, to discuss the following: personnel and negotiations. Be it further resolved that the discussion conducted in executive session can be disclosed to the public at such time as the matters have been resolved. Formal action may be taken at any meeting. Can I have a motion, please, to move to executive? Dr. Raj, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Mitchell. Thank you. Any discussions? Any oppositions or abstentions? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Good night, South Brunswick.